What does that
Ciao,
mean to play
ciao,
us out?
everybody.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Live
I
buttons
have
on,
big
Chris.
toes. They get stepped on a lot. So, ciao, ciao, everyone, and welcome to episode 46 of Giallo, Ciao, Ciao, the All Giallo Show, where we talk about Giallo. Lee. And
Sadly, it's the last episode.
yeah,
Had a lot of
that's
fun.
it. Oh, I fucking hate my dogs right now. So, a lot of interesting things have been happening. The Jersey Devils alive and well, and that's kind of interesting. Yeah.
What is that, like some sort of wrestling thing?
No, there's like a winged creature in New Jersey flying
Really?
around, and
Nice.
people have been taking photos of it. I can't
He
believe I'm
lives,
the only one
he
who
lives
knows
over by you,
this.
Chris.
Yeah,
No.
I'm not paying attention.
No.
Anyway. Anyone else doing anything fun besides being a mythical creature?
I'm just jollying it up. Or let's all practice our Italian. Ready? Poliziotesco. Come on, everybody, say it with me. Poliziotesco.
Go.
Poliziotesco.
I can't believe I'm paying for this shit.
Please take me to Tesco. I was doing an Italian voice earlier because my cheeky fucking dog kept coming into the kitchen when I was making a pizza pie.
Did you say, "Oh, what's the matter with you"?
Yeah, and I kept going, "You silly little doggy, get out of my kitchen. You're making a pizza pie. You cannot bother me." And then I'd go, "Man."
We really need to be off the
So
air immediately.
this
is terrible.
I was Jitalian.
Hey, I'm cooking here.
Do you guys remember that song, Shut Up in Your Face, or am I too old?
Shut up in your face?
Yeah, it was called Shut Up in Your Face. It was like one of those, it was just like one of those novelty one-hit wonders that you would play on the jukebox in the diner, or that I would play in the jukebox in the diner. You guys were still...
Is this back when a cheeseburger was a nickel?
No. But it was... how much was a cheeseburger? Like 59 cents? I remember that. I remember gasoline under $1.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm old enough for that even.
Yeah.
I think when I first started driving, it was like 98 cents.
I said, when this gets to $1.50, I ain't driving anywhere.
That's what everybody said. When I was younger, that's what everybody said about cigarettes. When cigarettes get to $2 a pack, I'm quitting. You know. And now what are they, 7 or 8?
Yeah, don't come to Minnesota.
Depends on where you live.
Joel,
I get 2 packs for $10.
2 for 10, okay. Joe Dolce is the guy's name. He put out a song called "Shut Up in Your Face."
I hear Murder's going to do a cover of that song.
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
that'd be awesome.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
It was from 1981. Okay.
Yeah.
1981's a long time ago.
Yeah.
Actually.
It's like 35 years ago
Mm-hmm.
or something.
But not as old as the movie we're doing here tonight.
Not as old. What
that was a
have
good
they done?
segue.
Thank you.
That was
Excuse
nice.
me.
Yeah, we'll be talking about what have they done to your daughters in a little bit, but I'm going to throw it to Chris. I believe he has another tutorial to go through here tonight.
Yeah, hopefully I'll be able to share my screen. Freaking
Other than
Google
just teaching Italian.
nonsense. Yes. Poliziotesco. Okay. Anyway. So,
Mamma mia.
there's been a lot of interest in the Plex Media server on our group, so I figured I'd do a real quick overview of the system and maybe just show a couple of, if you're watching the video version of this, I'll do a couple of screen shares so you can see what's going on. So just a quick history with me and how I ended up with Plex. I originally bought an Apple TV a long time ago, a couple of years ago, and figured out that if you import your video files into iTunes, you can actually just stream them directly to your TVs wherever there's an Apple TV box, which is cool, but iTunes really sucks, and you're limited to the MP4 format. So every video that you get, you have to use Handbrake or something else to convert it over, and there's all of this changes of compression and everything else. So then I ended up buying a Roku for my downstairs TV, and checked out the Plex media server, which is an open source thing. It's totally free, and it's really amazing because it just works. It doesn't really require you to be smart at all to get it to work. And it's a homegrown thing, and I think to a certain extent it's still free. I'm not sure where the line is drawn between the free part and the paid for part. So I know for sure that the server is free, and I'm pretty confident that the app that runs on the Roku and the app that runs on Chromecast and Kindle. Let's see here.
Basically, what you're saying is that you don't know.
Chromecast, Roku, Fire TV, Xbox, and PlayStation. They're all free there. And I believe certain smart TVs have their own sort of system for installing apps. I don't know if Samsung has one and Vizio has one, and they have Plex running there. Now, if you wanted to get the Plex app for your device, whether it be an Android device or an iOS device, I believe they charge you for that. But the alternative to that is to just use your browser, because the browser client is also free. So let me just quickly share my screen, and I'll show you guys what I have. Can you see my screen? There's Creep looking at himself.
Yes.
No, I'm looking at Eric's free thing. That sounds awful.
There's an ass in my face.
So here, can you guys see the Plex homepage?
I can.
Yes.
All right, so it's plex.tv. When you get there, you go to downloads, and when you get to downloads, you'll see the Plex media server right here. They have two options. They have one if you're going to run your server off a regular computer, which is, a computer with a screen and a keyboard and a mouse attached. If you have a network-attached storage device, you could use NAS. Now, up until just a few minutes ago, I didn't think that they supported the network-attached storage device that I use, so I've been using it through an old PowerBook as the server. But I'm going to go in here eventually after this is over and see. I have a Western Digital MyCloud. It's like a 4 terabyte network-attached storage. It looks like I can run the server right on there, which would be awesome. So I could kind of get rid of this. I have this old MacBook Pro from like 2007 that's running as the Plex media server, and not doing much of anything else because it's pretty slow. But anyway, you download the server software, you follow the instructions. It's pretty dummy proof, and eventually what you do is you point the software to wherever your files are, and the files can be they can be AVI, MP4, MPEG type videos. They could be audio files. They can be images. You can do slideshows, image slideshows and stuff. If they are movies or if they're TV shows, it works differently depending on how you name the file. So, for example, if it's a TV show, you would put the folder name in your on your computer as the name of the show, and then you would name it the name of the show, season 01, episode 01, or S01E01 .avi or .mpeg or whatever. And Plex knows how to go and get all the information off the internet to set that all up. So I'll show you real quickly what my client looks like from the browser. It's loading now. You should be able to see some kids stuff. Harry Potter, Muppets.
I'm not.
No, it's still the same page.
Oh, okay.
There it is. Right?
No.
It says I'm screencasting. Well, let's try stop sharing for a second. It could be that this is
Are you seeing it, Eric?
about to fucking crash.
I was, and then the thing 1 and thing 2 came back up.
Oh.
Yeah, let's see. My Google Hangouts looks like it's crashed here. Hang on just a second, guys. I'll be right back.
You got it. Oh, wait, what's that? It's doing something different now.
Do you have some technical difficulty music?
Oh, wait, no, it's not. Do I have some technical difficulty
I
music?
can still hear you guys talking, but I can't see anything.
Uh-oh.
Okay. Well, I'm curious to find out if this Plex thing he's talking about means that I could just watch all the movies that are on my computer on my television without having to hook my computer up to my television.
Well, creep, you can.
Hello.
What? That's crazy.
Yeah, I actually use Plex for my Roku, and a lot of what Chris is saying is pretty similar to that. I just have all the video files on my laptop, and I have a Plex server. It's kind of like any other server you'd have on your computer, but it's just special for Plex. And as long as you have that, which is really easy to get off their website, you can match it up with your app on your TV, the same way you would like match up.
So I just need to leave my computer on and walk into another room and watch TV.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, so let me, are you guys hearing me? I'm back.
I can hear you.
Yeah, I just have one more question. Can
Yeah.
I watch the WWE Network off of my computer on my Plex without
just
having to
have the
hook my
network
TV
app
up
on your-
to it?
No, Plex really is only for media that you want to stream from your local hard drive.
Yeah.
Hang on a second. Eric, did you just say that the WWE Network has an app that will play on your smart television?
Well, I don't know anything about smart televisions, but I know WWE Network is an app that you can get. I have it on my Roku. I know people have it on their video game devices.
Holy crap balls. Is it on Fire Stick?
Yes.
Get the F out of my pants.
I
Oh
will-
my gosh.
I'm sorry.
Hell in the Cell is going to be a whole different experience this year.
I thought you invited me into your pants. I apologize.
Oh my gosh. Well,
Do you
Chris
guys-
is showing pictures.
You guys see this now? Okay, cool.
Pictures.
So this is what the browser client looks like, and this is where you actually manipulate the server. So for example, over here, I can add something to my library. I select movies or TV shows or music or home videos, and you basically tell it where to go, and
Fuck yourself.
it goes in, and as long as, I mean, basically what it tries to do, and it does a really good job of this, is it looks at the file names and it tries to match them against IMDb or anywhere else to get the poster, to get the director, to get any of the other important information about the film. So, for example, this one is the one we're doing tonight. So all this stuff that you're seeing on the screen here was grabbed from the internet. I didn't have to input any of this stuff. For TV shows, it works a little differently, but so for example, if you go into something like Under the Dome, it knows.
I want to talk more about you watching the Vampire Diaries.
Yeah, well, that's, I have to share this with my wife, so.
Yeah. It's okay.
She likes, I think she likes the rest of these too, but she does like the Vampire Diaries.
So once you finished watching all the seasons, you downloaded them for her to watch?
Right, exactly.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, there's a whole bunch of stuff on here, and we can do. The cool thing about Plex is you sign up for an account, which is also free. You can pay the extra money for a Plex Pass account, which gives you other features. I'm not exactly sure what they are, but if you get a basic account, you can do something like, for example, my parents both have Roku sticks, um, and I've signed them both up for Plex accounts, and so I've rigged it so that when they're at their house, they can log in and see my Plex library, and then I put all the kids like videos and stuff on there so that they can see them, videos of the kids whenever they want to, instead of having to wait until they come over to the house. So it's
So you're saying you don't have any adult films on your Plex?
there's no porn on my Plex at the moment. That's correct.
But it would be very friendly to porn because it's just all hard drive files.
Yeah.
Hard
Now
what?
I don't know. I don't know if. Hey, I'm back. All right. I don't know if the ability to go out and pull metadata for the porn works as well as it does with the other types of films, but it's worth a try. I haven't tried it yet. There was a couple of questions, I think by Lee on the group about video quality, and that's a really important one. You can tweak the settings in here. I mean, basically, let's say that you found a way to rip Blu-ray and kept it in its original resolution. As long as you have the appropriate bandwidth within your Wi-Fi network, you can stream that at the same quality as it would be for a Blu-ray, and it would look fine. The problem is when we talk about the bandwidth issue, and that's basically, are you hooked up to is your Roku hooked up to your network using a cable, or is it Wi-Fi? And is the Wi-Fi fast enough, and all these other things? What ends up happening is some of these really high definition files that I have on my server, sometimes they stutter a little bit, and they try to buffer as much as they can to start streaming at the resolution that's native to them. But if you have a lot of problems with it, you can go in and tweak the settings, and you can have it transcode the video files down to a 720p, or you can basically change the amount of bits per second that you're getting for that particular resolution to make it come faster. So Plex really has a lot of options, and I find it to be very useful and helpful because I can basically get to my media wherever I am, as long as I'm not in a network that has some sort of port blocking. Like when I'm at the office, we have Wi-Fi at my office, and they have certain ports that are blocked, and Plex is one of those ports. So I would have to use some other public Wi-Fi, or have to use my data to get into Plex when I'm outside of a Wi-Fi network that's not a home one. But for the most part, I find it to be there's a dog.
Keep talking. We're listening.
Hi.
We're really excited.
Hi, doggy. I think it's great. I mean, I have tons of DVDs, and I've ripped them, and I put them on my server, and I have a backup copy of them somewhere else in case the drive fails, and that's it. I don't really mess around too much with DVDs anymore.
I'm gonna try it.
I have sentimental attachment to certain DVDs, and other ones I'm just ready to toss them. I had them out at the yard sale, tried to sell a few of them, and it is what it is. I think that the only problem with Plex, and it's the same problem that I think most people have with Netflix and every other type of service that gives you so many damn choices, is that you spend way too much time figuring out what you're going to watch instead of watching it. At least that's what happens with me. Like, I'll get in bed and I'll head over to Plex or to Netflix and start flicking around to see what do I want to watch, and I end up falling asleep just looking through the choices before I even watch anything. So, when you decide, hey, you know what, I'm going to get out this movie and I'm going to put it in my DVD player and watch it, it's kind of more of a direct experience. it's kind of the same problem that people went through or are maybe still going through with music, where instead of, a piece of vinyl that, you really only get about 40 or so minutes out of from side A to side B, but you're going to sit there and listen, you have, I don't know, 100 gigs worth of MP3 files to choose from. And you just say, play everything at random. So we kind of sacrifice a little bit for the convenience of having everything this way, but I really like it for Giallo because I've got everything in one place, and there are some DVDs that I have for Jolly, and then there are other places where I'm able to find copies of them on various sites that I could never find on DVD. Maybe they're not released, maybe they're unreleased, or out of print. So it's great having it in one place. So I really enjoy the software. I enjoy the technology, and I recommend everybody give it a try because it's real easy.
Nice. I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna try it hard.
Yes. There was another question from Lee, and this is something I've struggled with as well. And it's very important for Giallo films. Are subtitles supported?
Oh, yeah. Okay, so subtitles are a little bit more tricky than everything else is when it comes to setting things up. But typically, when you get a film that has subtitles, the subtitles I think are an SRT file, and it's a text file that I think has time codes matched up with the subtitles. So the way that Plex works is you make sure that you have that SRT file in the same folder location as the video file, and you also make sure that both files are named the same, other than the extension, the file extension, obviously. And then you have to go into Plex and tell it that there are subtitles and point to the SRT file. Most of the time it will find it. Let me see if I can screen share one more time and show you what that looks like.
I've had a few problems getting mine to sync up, and I don't know if I'm missing a setting within the Plex server or what exactly is happening.
The syncing up is definitely an issue. Can you guys see my
Yeah.
Plex screen again? Okay. The syncing up is most definitely an issue. It has a lot to do with whether or not you got the SRT file, and maybe that SRT file was linked to a certain version of the film. If for example, if you ripped the file from a DVD and you ripped the subtitles from the same DVD or Blu-ray, it should match up. But if you downloaded the file from the internet somewhere and then you went out and found an SRT file somewhere else, it might not sync up. The other reason why it might not sync up is because Plex might be transcoding the film itself to play at a lower resolution so that it will stream without interruption through your network. And in those cases, it may be time shifting the actual video file a tad bit, and in those cases, it's the same issue.
It could also be a thing where if the movie you're watching is NTSC, but then you found a video file that was taken off of the PAL version, it's going to have a different time code thing on it. It'll start to lag.
That's absolutely correct. And when I first was able to figure out how to run PAL encoded videos through a device that would turn them into NTSC, I was like, wow, there's this huge library of films that have now just opened up for me. But that was back when I was burning everything to DVD, and now it doesn't really make it makes much of a difference at all. So, so we're looking at The Strange Color of Your Body's Tears. I believe this one has a subtitles section here. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know that it's working for me right now. But there basically is a section, especially if you use the apps for Roku or for Fire, where there's a place that says playback options. And you go into playback options and you say, I want to point this to a particular file, and then from there you can you can turn on or off subtitles when you watch the film, and it typically works. I've noticed a couple of times with certain things, like with certain TV shows that, like True Detective, for example. I've always downloaded the SRT files because a lot of times I have no idea what they're talking about, especially this last season when there was 300 characters to try and keep track of. And if I'm listening to it with low volume at night, I need to just read, what they're saying. And sometimes I need to go back and restart the film after I tell it to turn the subtitles on to have it sync up. So it's not an exact science with the subtitles, but I've for Giallo, I've never noticed there being a big problem because the languages are dubbed anyway. So, if I'm trying to watch a film that's in English, but I want to see the subtitles because for whatever reason, it's easier to comprehend the film with subtitles on. That's typically when I notice some syncing issues. But if it's in a different language, it's hard to notice there a big difference, when you're syncing things up. So, because the languages conflict with each other anyway. So.
Got it. So we at least know that they are supported. It's just you doing the research and doing the heavy lifting to figure it out.
Yeah, that I would say out of everything, that's probably the most labor-intensive aspect of Plex, which is getting the subtitles. But I mean, basically, if you think about it, there's really no other way. I don't think that the Plex server is meant to go out and grab the subtitles automatically for the films that you put on or the TV shows that you put on your server. Whereas if you used Netflix or HBO Go or something like that, you expect that the subtitles will go along with whatever you're watching. So.
Well, right on. Thank you for that, because I'm excited now.
You got creep excited.
And that's not easy.
Yeah.
Unless you're touching my wiener. But that's a whole other thing.
Right.
Where did you put that dog, anyway?
I'm sitting on it. No, but seriously, I have a question for you guys. What have they done to your daughter?
I am not ready to rumble, if that's your question.
Nope, just the daughters thing.
The daughters thing. Well,
what have they done to your daughters?
Because I don't believe I have a daughter, so it'd be interesting to find out what they've done to it.
Well, yeah. I do, and I don't want that, whatever they've done to them, to apply to mine, that's for sure.
Right.
Yeah. I didn't mean for this to get so dark. I was just trying to segue.
Very dark.
Oh, that's right. That's the name of the movie. I apologize, everyone.
It's okay.
See, and I can't even go ba-dumps because the stupid thing doesn't work.
Oh,
bastards!
Shucks.
Bastards.
So this movie was Eric's pick. Now, Eric, before you start talking about it, what made you want to pick this thing?
Thank you, please, everyone, please.
Oh, you heard that? Did you guys hear that?
I heard that.
Oh, that's awesome. Maybe it works now.
Of course I heard that. They're all standing up and cheering for me, which is commonplace. But I do want everyone's silence so I can talk about this film. All right. You in the back. Someone take that gong away from him. All right. I picked this movie mainly because I was so impressed with What Have You Done to Solange, this director Massimo Dallamano's previous effort. And I've heard a lot of good things about this trilogy he did about missing girls in Italy, and just by watching the opening credits of this film, and also I believe in Solange, there's a lot of text before and after the film talking about how many missing girls there are in Italy each year and what happens to them, and how it might go deeper and darker than we would prefer to dig into. And just knowing that, I thought that would give this kind of a film a lot of substance. Not saying that I don't enjoy a good sugary Giallo film like Eyeball or something like that, but every once in a while I like to see what these filmmakers are doing in the era of the Giallo film, of the Polizio Tesco. When those are so popular, but at the same time they want to leave an impression, make a message, and That really intrigued me about this film. I wanted to see how much further he was going to go with it, and I was impressed. And there was a lot of imagery that will stick into my mind for a very long time, for good or for bad. I won't say what imagery it was, or I probably will later. But there's some crazy parts about it. I mean, finding out how young these girls are, and then the fact that they just are willy-nilly about flashing their naked bodies on screen.
Yeah.
Kind of makes for odd viewing experience, especially if you're watching it with people who aren't used to this type of stuff.
What's the third movie in his little Missing Girl trilogy?
It's nothing. Oh man, I wish I could remember it. I probably would have been nice to write it down. It's nothing to do with asking a question about who did what to who and where they went and anything like that. But I believe it's something pretty simple.
Was this a movie that came after?
Yeah, he didn't direct a lot of films. He only directed about 10 or 12 or so. Okay,
Is it The Night Child?
Let's see. It could be. I mean, it's that one comes right after this movie in 1975, and I apologize to our listeners out there. I never said I was an expert. I don't think any of us are, but
no, we rely on IMDb, but
pretty heavily. Yeah. I mean, he was.
I will say though that he did a film called A Black Veil for Lisa, which is considered a proto Giallo, I think, and I've never seen that. So.
Okay. Yeah, it's possible that he did a lot of westerns as well as a cinematographer on films like Fistful of Dollars and For a Few Dollars More. So he was pretty important, pretty popular as a cinematographer. Then going into films, he had a lot of things to say about the culture and stuff like that. Yeah, I believe it was Night Child or The Cursed Medallion is what it's called. Not as well known as these two films that he did, and I believe that one's a little more supernatural and not as intense. But yeah, this one is probably. I mean, Solange is really high up on my list as it stands right now after 46 films or so, but this one is pretty close to it. He doesn't really drop off very much at all. So if you like Solange, this is pretty close to it, I think.
How do I say?
I don't know that I necessarily have that same sentiment, that last sentiment that Eric threw out there, but what do you think, Creep?
Well, I was just gonna say, like, it was really good, and it was like beautiful to watch, and all
it's not
that.
As personal, but yeah.
Yeah, Solange is definitely Solange. I don't know what else to say about it. That movie is really good, and this one is good. My biggest complaint with this one was the cop.
Okay.
Like he was driving me absolutely crazy with the stupid shit he would say.
Yeah.
And I don't know, but like it was a good movie. Like
yeah, it was a letdown when they switched from Valentini over to Silvestri. I was really digging Valentini. I was
totally.
hoping...
That was weird. Like I don't know why they did that.
Something to do with it switched from
it switched from a suicide to a homicide.
Homicide, so they had to switch.
Well, no, I understand that, but I don't understand
why they would have that in a movie.
That was, yeah, it's like because we're getting to know this one cop and we're feeling for him and all this stuff, and then some douchebag walks in.
I think it's because, I mean, the way that I took it was that the original cop, and I have to apologize ahead of time because I was going to do something earlier today where I wrote down the names of everybody because I don't remember anybody's name in this film. I just know
he's Valentini.
Valentini is who?
The first guy with the big mustache.
Okay, so oh yeah, I eat them. Cats, I eat them. Right, that guy. So Valentini, I think what they wanted to do was they wanted to circle back to him because he's more of like a local cop, right? Whereas the guy who came in, the inspector, he's a little bit more like he's 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 kind of removed from the situation from an emotional standpoint because he doesn't have a daughter, and I don't know that he has any like ties to what's going on. Whereas the original guy, it turns out that his daughter is part of what's going on. So
Which
um,
makes it more dramatic. So I don't know why they would take him out of it.
yeah,
I,
I
I
don't
swear to
know
God, I
because
think it was like a contractual thing or like something stupid because that just did not make like a whole lot of sense to
but
me.
I think that the film in general, at least the two main like protagonists, the assistant DA and the inspector, for the most part, are removed and a little bit like emotionless. I don't think that there's much going on with them. I think that the whole vibe of this film is, the police procedural, not much emotion, trying to solve the case, and maybe that was the idea. Like you can't have Valentino as the main as the main cop who's trying to solve the problem because really his daughter's in the middle of it, and that becomes more of an emotional thing, which is more of a Giallo thing, and this is more of a Policiotesco kind of vibe. So, I mean, I think there's a lot to talk about with this film as far as where it blurs the lines between the police procedural and the Giallo, and where what it could have done differently if it wanted to be more jolly like or Giallo like, or just some of the things because we've been covering mostly Giallo that were made specifically and intended to be Giallo, with the exceptions of certain things like Pieces and the Hitchcock film and The Bat and certain things like that. This film is like right smack in the middle of the time period where all these directors were saying, okay, we've done some jolly, we need to move on because it's been done to death. It's like when they had Who Wants to Be a Millionaire on 3 times a week. It's like,
Yeah.
hey, it's over
Well,
with. We
the
got to
one
move
thing
on.
the one thing that I noticed that like really stood out to me that was different was that that girl in the hospital calls the cop and she's like, "I have to tell you something. Get over here." And so he's on his way and the killer comes in. So I'm like, "Oh, okay, this girl's dead. That was fucking stupid. Why didn't she just tell him?"
Right.
But then she doesn't end up dead. And
Correct.
then the police chick, the DA or whatever, is being chased in the underground garage, which was a lot like Happy Birthday to Me, now that I think about it.
Yeah, and it
Yeah,
was
was that
also
right? Yeah.
it was like that, and it was also like Mrs.
Or
Ward.
those were like that. Yeah, exactly. And then she didn't die.
Right.
And I was like, oh, maybe that's like a difference. Like,
Well, I think it's
they,
because the story is this. Would you guys agree that this is probably the most airtight, well written script as far as it being logical and as far as it being like with these jollies? I mean, there's so many holes in the logic, and you're supposed to suspend disbelief through most of the film. And with this, it was like, okay, there's still some wacky stuff going on here, but for the most part, we go from point A to point B to point C, and everything is pushing in a linear direction to move the plot forward, to move the investigation forward. And so, I think the difference between a giallo and this type of film is that there's an emphasis on the cops. There's an emphasis on getting the crime solved. There's not a lot of emphasis on the emotion of the victims and the emotion of the killer, which is usually where all the art and the artistic aspects of the giallo come into play. So it's kind of like they abandoned the all of that stuff and went for a more logical kind of approach to storytelling, which is fine. I mean, that's the way these films are supposed to be. But I think what
if
makes
you're like, I think the term logic is needs to be used really loosely here because every single lead they got off camera and they would just say, "Oh, we got a tip,"
sure,
or
and
"We
then
we figured this out."
right, and how
But
can
like,
you
they won't
basically
go
say,
into
you
how
know,
that happened.
you could like that it's ridiculous that the inspector would say, okay, get me a list of all the places that carried this motorcycle, and then give me a list of all the people in the last 3 years that bought this motorcycle. I mean, you can't even do that now, probably. in 2015. I don't know how you, or maybe it was easier to do it back in 1974. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, of course. But I mean, if you're comparing the way that these guys figured out how to get from one clue to the next, and compare that to, say, Seven Bloodstained Orchids, or compare that to some of these other ridiculous Jolly that really don't, add up at all. There's definitely a difference, and I think that's basically what I consider to be the things that they left out to make this a Giallo, or what would have made this a Giallo, is the killer and the killer's identity really wasn't important at all in this
At
particular
all.
film. And there wasn't anybody that was working besides the cops to try and solve the mystery. So those are the two big ones for me that turn it away from the Giallo and make it more of something else. But I really like, I don't have a lot of exposure to the Poliziottesco genre. So I don't know, in comparing this to some of the other films, like the films that Lenzi and some of these other guys made, how Giallo like this film is. You still have a guy who's clad in leather with black gloves, and he's stalking. There's a couple of stalking sequences with a butcher knife. I mean, that's very Giallo. Some of these other police procedurals aren't really focused on there's a killer who's murdering people. It's more about it's a crime ring. It's a bunch of guys who rob a bank, or it's a bunch of
Well,
gangsters and stuff, right?
what do you, Eric? What are your thoughts about all this? We've said like a million things just now, but what are you thinking?
Yeah, you went through all my notes. I don't know. I don't have anything else to say. That's pretty much it. It was my big difference was once it switched over from the guy in the motorcycle helmet chasing people around to figuring out this deep, dark circle of politicians and people covering things up. I know Chris and I had a discussion about the ending and trying to figure out who this person was. My main beef with it was because they kind of zoomed in on the face and held on it for a while, so I thought this was some kind of big reveal. But
Right, exactly.
when I went back to think about it, I'm like, no, it wasn't. It was the guy that they were pretty much fingering the whole time. Keep silent. And they pretty much just, yeah, they went that route with him, and they were saying that this guy isn't as important. He's just a person that's involved in this larger ring of prostitution and of little kids and things going on like that. So that was my big difference. Once I was able to let that go, I could enjoy the ending a little bit more, even though I was still kind of disappointed by it. And yeah, I think going back to the detective switch, as unfortunate as it was, I think my opinion is probably more of a shallow one, in that they wanted to go with the better looking guy at the time, maybe
right.
just for marketing purposes. I don't know. They maybe saw a bright future in him, and I thought he was going to go do big things for the Italian film industry, but dumped poor Valentini out on the street, which I think would have made the
And
film
then
a
I
little
thought
better.
Valentini was gonna like go try to find him and murder him himself or
Yeah.
something like that. Then
Yeah,
they
but
just
maybe
brushed that aside.
yeah, maybe you're right though. Maybe that is part of it not being a Giallo film, because if he was more involved, if it had become more personal.
That's an Al question. Al, if you're listening, because here, even on your like police procedural shows and stuff, there's always some person working the case that has some traumatic experience that happened to them that kind of would link them to the case to make them really want to solve it for personal reasons or some shit like that. But in this, it seems like a very detached situation. And is that like kind of the norm in Italian police dramas or something like that? That the cops are just like no feeling and completely away from the situation?
Yeah.
Because that just might be a cultural thing that I don't get.
Let's we'll wait for the answer. You guys ready?
Okay.
My only other thing was the amount of violence in this. I guess I don't know the difference. I haven't, like Chris, I haven't seen a lot of the police procedural films, and I don't know how violent those ones are. But this one was strikingly violent, I thought. Even when they weren't showing bodies being attacked, just them walking into that bathroom and seeing that gruesome blood spray all over the walls. I don't know how normal
Or
that
that
would be.
awful audio recording.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
That was
totally.
horrendous.
Some of the descriptions of the things that they were doing.
Yeah.
Um, but did you guys notice? Did you guys watch an English language version?
Yes.
Yeah.
Did you guys notice that they bleeped the at the
The
end when
F
he
word
said
at
"Go
the
fuck
end.
yourself"? I was like,
Yeah.
wait a minute. They showed all this violence, and then what happened at the end?
That's
And
America
then
for you.
the chick's like, I have to agree with you.
Yes.
But I mean, I liked the film. I thought it was good. It's just when you're talking about the difference between the Giallo and the police thing, in some of these Jolly, like say Bird with Crystal Plumage or Deep Red, and we always bring up Argento, but his protagonists have a vested interest in solving the mystery because either they're going to go to prison, or they're being targeted by the killer.
Yeah.
And in the case, and even in the case of like So Sweet So Dead, the police inspector, you get to the end and it turns out that one of the people that is going to be the next victim is his own wife, and these are women who cheat on their husbands, and so he finds out that his wife is a cheater, and now he has to make this moral decision about does he save her or
Spoiling
does he
it
not?
left and right.
Yeah, well, it's okay.
Good Lord. Well, I
Um,
was just going to say, I think for me, the movie that is like this that does it better is Black Belly of the Tarantula, of course. But I know Eric's not a fan of that film.
Hey, I put it on my Giallo Redemption tour, and it got a much better score the second time around.
Well, and it's interesting that you bring that up, Creep, because when I first scored Black Belly of the Tarantula for my website, I kind of felt like it was too much of a police procedural than a giallo, but I kind of gave it that label a little bit uninformed because I haven't watched a lot of police procedurals, and if you look at Black Belly of the Tarantula, it really is a giallo. It's just that the amateur detective is gone, and the guy that's trying to solve the case is on the police force. But otherwise, I mean, you have the killer, and you have all this other moody stuff going on, and that film needs me. I need to go back and watch that, just like Eric did on the Redemption tour,
I just
because
need to watch it again because it's fucking amazing.
I think that that this film, the daughter's film, is clearly more Poliziottesco than that. But then the question is, how giallo is Daughters compared to some of the straight up Poliziottesco films? And I can't answer that because I haven't really watched them. But I think that if I'm getting a sense of what these police procedurals really are and what makes them, and what characteristics they have to make them kind of fall into a category, I think Delamano did probably a really good job kind of merging these two together and making an effective film for both sides of the both sides of the audiences. You've got I mean, if you can put it in a time, if you go to the time capsule maybe for when this film came out, I would assume that these directors realized that they were having trouble continuing to make Jolly because the audiences were getting tired of the format, so they switched over to this. And you'll notice if you look at Martino and Umberto Lenzi and even Lucio Fulci, they all started making these films starting in 73, 74 up to 76 and so on. So, and they're all, yeah, they just kind of jumped on whatever bandwagon was popular, which was fine. I don't.
Did you see? Have you seen the Bava film, Rabid Dogs or Kidnapped?
Yeah, that's a great
Is
film.
is that considered a Poliziottesco?
It is.
That movie's fucking awesome. I love that movie.
I think it is because it's simply not any other. It doesn't fall into any other category, and it's basically like there's a crime, and then there's people trying to solve the crime, and they're on the police force. So I guess you would call it that. But I think that movie came out in like what, 74, 75 or something. So it's
something like that.
It's still pretty early in the history, compared to, say, I think Fulci made a movie called Contraband, which came out in 1980, which is supposed to be a pretty good Poliziottesco film. But I think there's another director who is considered like the godfather of these things. Like Argento is in Bava, the big Giallo guys. This guy is the Poliziottesco guy, and I don't know his name off the top of my head.
Aren't you? Are you sure it's not Lenzi and Martino?
It's definitely Lenzi. Lenzi has a couple of films out there that
No, I mean that are the godfathers of Giallo.
No, let me look it up because I looked it up earlier today. What? Why is that funny? I don't understand.
It's okay.
What did I do that was funny?
Nothing, man.
It's Aldo Lotto.
Aldo Lotto.
Yeah.
It was Aldo Lotto, and then this other guy's. No, that's not him. Wait, let me go back one more.
I have Night Train Murders.
Fernando Di Leo. Fernando Di Leo is the other guy that I think he's known for.
The one thing about this movie that I did actually love was the fact that they used the same score as Tentacles, which is awesome.
The exact same score.
What is Tentacles?
Tentacles is like, imagine Jaws, but with an octopus.
I don't believe you.
What?
They used the exact same score in a Jaws ripoff about an octopus.
Yeah, and I think it was the same. The composer Stelvio, the guy who did Bay of Blood, did it, right?
Yes, Stilvaletto Cipriani.
Yeah, he's credited as it.
Interestingly enough, he did the soundtrack for Pieces as well.
Yeah.
So he's all over the board, this guy.
Dude, I seriously, in my Giallo playlist that gets me going when I'm like writing and stuff, I always had the Tentacoli score like in there to kind of, in the beginning almost, to kind of really get me off with a bang. And I was always like, man, it's too bad this isn't a Giallo song because I could totally like put this in Giallo stuff. But now it kind of is.
You can.
So I can.
You can now, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I love the music in this one. I mean, they do use, I believe there's only 2 tracks, 2 or 3, and they use them over and over, so there's a point where you might get sick of it, but from the beginning, I think it's really strong. Just like that real brassy. I love the brassiness of that part, and the creepiness of the stalking scenes.
By the way, we never mentioned at all that if anybody is actually streaming with us and
they are.
nothing to say,
Q&A section, guys.
It's the Q&A section that you want to post to, because we will look at that for comments or questions.
Watch, there's like 15 questions about how to turn on Plex. My bad. Sorry, guys.
No, there's nothing. I just checked.
Okay. But yeah, the score for this, it doesn't really fit the film, I don't think. And it might just be because I'm used to that music from another film. But
that might be a good reason.
But the part that is funny is when that cop falls down the hill on that, when the music swells. That was like, I'm like, okay, I could see where that was a good choice.
Yeah, why did they put that in there? That was funny.
Well, because that guy was spelunking. He's a spelunker. I guess that's what they call it.
All right, and I have a question about the plot, and because, again, the whole idea that there's a killer and that they're trying to find the killer, and it becomes really unimportant because what they've ended up uncovering is this very high-level corruption of prostitute rings and underage kids and exploitation and whatnot. But why did the very first victim that they found in the opening of the film, the girl who was hung, why was she killed? Does anybody know? Did they ever explain that?
Nope.
Nope.
Because like all the rest of the people were killed
moving
because
her body was really weird too.
Everybody else was killed in the movie because they knew something, right?
Well, maybe she knew something.
Well, that's the only thing I can think of. I mean,
or maybe it's because she was pregnant. She got pregnant by one of the guys, and so he killed her.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
She had semen in her vagina, her anus, and her stomach.
And her stomach, yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if that
Wow.
was
She was
like,
busy.
was that
I
one
wonder if
section?
it was. Yeah, that's one dude. He's just going all over.
Jeez, oh man.
He's like, "Take me around the world, sister."
Yeah, I mean, she did get involved with that spelunker, so I don't know if they maybe thought she was.
He splunked.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that he probably did a little
So,
spelunking of his own, but they probably were afraid that she might squeal because now that she's seeing this new beau, who wasn't involved with this ring, she's communicating to the outside world. She might tell someone something. I don't know. That's probably what I would assume.
and the other thing here is that he was hired by the guy who was in the bathtub, right?
I
To
guess.
kill all the people.
That was my next question. Is the killer, like, what relationship is the killer, the motorcycle guy, to all these other high-level guys? Is he just like a for-hire,
Yeah.
hitman of some sort?
He's just good on a motorcycle, so they hired him.
If he had a gun the whole time, why the hell was he running around with a cleaver?
Yeah, it seems.
But
And why would you go to such lengths to chop that guy into 1,000 pieces in his own bathroom? Like,
because his boss said, "I probably want him in 1,000 pieces
yeah, right.
in his own bathroom."
Message.
No, I want to see it all. I want to see what happened to the
I
bastard.
want to see what that
And then she
bastard ended up.
screams like a maniac.
Oh yeah, she saw.
No,
what
it's just
happened.
like when you look at when you say what happens in the movie after the fact and you talk about it, it really sounds stupid. Like, I'm not trying to be shitty about it, but it's just like they were looking for a murderer. They decided they didn't really care and that someone would figure it out for them or something. Everyone who they had leads to ended up dead. The murderer is dead, and then they can't go after the people who were the Johns of the ring.
Right.
So at the end of the day, they did it, dick. The only thing that had anything to do with anything was that the cop put out the press release saying that that dude was alive and he talked. If it wasn't for that, like, that other dude wouldn't have died. And if those kids hadn't seen I mean, just, I don't know, maybe a lot of police work is based upon people coming forward with stuff when they're not meant to. But, like, it just seemed like to have, like, the ADA and this inspector doing stuff for this case, they really didn't do fucking anything.
Right. And is that the director making commentary on the state of corruption in Italy at that particular time? Is that supposed to be some metaphorical or subtext social commentary thing that's going on? I mean, clearly it was a big deal. They brought it up several times about how are we going to prosecute these people, and they're high up. And even when the I guess it was the cameraman, the guy who eventually is linked to all this stuff, who originally they were like, well, no, he's just a peeping Tom. He's on the phone saying, this and this and this, and the other guy on the other end of the phone is like, we're holding all of the high cards right now, and don't do anything stupid because once they find out it's us, they're not going to be able to do anything. So, I mean, they brought it up so many times in the film about how there was this, this unfair amount of power, and that, and then if you look at what the
Well, if that was
opening.
the case, why did the guy kill himself anyway? If they weren't going to be able to do anything, which they ended up not being able to do anything, why go through the trouble of killing people and killing yourself?
Well, maybe the doctor wasn't the one that was on the other end of the phone. The other person on the other end of the phone was somebody higher up. I don't know. I think the doctor probably just freaked out and realized that, this was going to ruin him, and what have I done?
Yeah.
And I'm going to kill myself. But
Well, we live in a day and age where we're used to this sort of thing. We don't, a politician comes out as tapping his foot in the bathroom. We're just blinking our eye at it. But back then, you have to think that if there's any kind of peep coming out, that our superiors are not as clean cut and perfect as we think they are, it's going to cause a mass hysteria. Things are going to hit the fan. And when this doctor found out that there was any possible way that his name could get attached to this, there was just nothing else he could do but kill himself. Sylvester, as much as we hated him, you had to kind of feel bad at how desperate he was getting because he was getting closer and closer to unveiling this, and people kept winding up dead.
Right.
I never felt bad for that bastard the entire time. He got just what he deserved.
He didn't even want to say thank you.
No.
And it was just...
And he couldn't even close the deal with the DA when he took her home.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, do you need... Oh, I'm going to go answer my giant car phone.
even with your hair.
Did you guys notice that the voice of, I think it was Valentini, and the guy who did the voice of his partner with the other big mustache?
Same voice.
Is the guy from Cannibal Holocaust?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Didn't put it together until they started playing the footage of like that, and then I'm like, oh my god, that's it. That's the Cannibal Holocaust.
Yeah, those voices are recycled to death. Did anybody? The other thing was in the very beginning they were showing that footage of some sort of a demonstration, a violent demonstration on campus or something. One of the guys sitting at the table, I swear, looked like Fulci, and I've looked through everything on the internet, and he's not credited anywhere. So maybe the guy just looks like Fulci, and it's not him. But I could have sworn that Fulci made a cameo in that. He was on the right side of the table if you were looking at the screen. But
well, I also thought that the dummy of the girl hanging is the same dummy that hangs in Spasmo.
Yeah, could be.
It looks just like her.
And how did they think that was actually going to make people think that was like, oh, this person looks like a mannequin because of rigor mortis? Like, I even went through Giallo score and almost checked off the thing that said dolls or dummies because of that first scene with the girl hanging, because it looked like a mannequin. And I'm like, oh wait, I can't give a point for that. That was actually supposed to be a real body. So
I wonder if it was hard for them to figure out how to sculpt a 15-year-old naked girl. Maybe they didn't have too many models to work off of.
You're probably right.
So they just winged it.
But the section in this in the signatures section for car or motorcycle racing, man, I was checking that box off like a maniac when I was watching the film. So, and there was a chase scene. I mean, the thing about this film, as far as the Giallo score is concerned, is it got a 64. It lost a shitload of points because it didn't have a hidden identity of a murderer. I mean, I think that's 15 points maybe, and there's no amateur detective. But at 8 out of 10 on the signatures, I mean, there was somebody in a bathtub, there was a funeral, there was a pathologist, there's a photography going on, there's taunting via letters, there's a chase scene, there's a pathologist. I mean, so you could see. When people call this film a hybrid, it really is. It really is a mesh of these two styles, and I think it's pretty successful of a hybrid too. It's not like it tries to be two different things and can't decide and swaps between one or the other. I think it does a really good job in being entertaining and throwing in some Giallo elements that make it interesting from that perspective, but also it's a fast-paced script and the story moves along really fast and it keeps you paying attention.
And it might be the English dub, but some of the things that the inspector says are just so fucking stupid. Like, it's like you have to laugh at him like half the time, and not like laughing with him. You're just like, Jesus fucking Christ.
He's just no nonsense. He's got a problem with authority.
I got a problem with that guy for some stupid reason, and I don't know what it is. But all in all, it was a good movie. I would watch it again. It wasn't bad at all.
From an aesthetic standpoint, what do you think of it? Like,
there was a lot of cool shit in it, but there wasn't enough. Like, there was a lot of cool props and like lamps and wallpapers, and like there was all sorts of weird cool shit like that, but there really wasn't enough like women in it to have a lot of good fashion in it, and that's one of my nerdy little things.
Because I thought a lot of great architecture, especially during the chase scenes. That scene on the hill or on the cave, looking out, and then even going into the DA. We see this DA as a stuck-up, cold woman, and then we go to her apartment. She's kind
Her
of
apartment's sick as rad. Awesome. And that part was funny when she turns her back to the camera and it looks like she's looking out a window, looking at like this like awesome little quaint village, and then it pans back and it's just a picture on the wall.
Yeah, she's a beautiful woman, but man, she needs to talk to a stylist.
Yeah, totally. That hair is, man.
Yeah, you didn't like her wig, her big giant wig?
I think that maybe what was missing from a stylistic perspective was color. I don't think the film had very much color, but I don't think it was supposed to. I think these types of films are supposed to be stark and cold, just like the way that the actors approach the story itself. So, like I said, I think it was a pretty successful film. Like I really liked it. I liked it the second time through. I watched it the first time very tired and not paying attention, and the second time through I was paying attention. It was great. So definitely recommend it and would like to watch it again one day.
I think now it is time for us to talk about what we're going to do, because normally this would be the part of the show when we let the listeners know what the next 3 picks are going to be for them to vote for. But Eric, why don't you tell us what we're going to do instead?
That was a real sound effect from Chris.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Well, please, you're too kind. I think, we noticed that for some reason we're still doing episodes as we get closer to 50. I don't know how that happened. We're still rolling along with this thing. So.
Bye, Creed. Oh, he's back.
Hey, I'm back.
Yeah. It just, I don't think every once in a while we'll make a big deal about getting to certain milestones. I think a lot of podcasts do that. And we would have been happy to get to the 50th episode. It would have been fun. We would have done something fun. But all of a sudden it occurred to us that we have to do 3 picks, and those 3 picks will be 48, 49, and 50. We'll end right at number 50. So I thought
because next episode we have Profumo.
Yeah. Sorry, I can't forget.
You're welcome in advance.
Important that we don't want to get ahead of ourselves too far. But with 48, 49, and 50 coming up, we're going to do, we're still going to throw out the films out on a poll, but they're going to dance for you. But what you want to do is you want to actually vote in reverse. So the film that you want to see at number 50, I think, is what we are asking people to vote on.
Yeah. I think what we were saying was we just want people to pick what they want to be the 50th film.
Yeah.
Right?
So there'll be 3 films. You pick which one you want to pick number 50.
The best Giallo are.
Yeah, what
for the one you think is the best?
It clearly has to be something that represents a milestone, a classic film that everybody wants covered. So, the way it sounds to me is somebody's going to write in something, and then other people are just going to vote for that write-in. But we're not going to write anything in, right? We're going to let the Facebook guys just go nuts on this poll.
Right.
And so what will happen is
go nuts on this poll.
Go nuts on
just
this
like that.
Exactly.
There's still a lot of big ones out there we haven't covered, so.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
They're all out there.
And so we'll take the top 3 and we'll do them in reverse order, right?
Right.
Yep. For the big episode 50 Giallo-tacular.
We're gonna have all kinds of guests, musical acts.
I'll dress up.
Yeah.
I'll get someone to come in and dub my voice.
Yeah.
Oh, that
we might
would be
have
great.
to wear our 3-piece brown velour suits.
Maybe we could just do the entire episode in Italian. We'll have to learn the Italian.
Yeah.
Probably not.
Pizza pie. All right. So
we're talking about, let's see, we're talking about sometime in November, maybe? Is that right?
Yeah. It is already mid-October. We've got
We have
4
one more
episodes.
episode. I know, it might be December.
Yeah, it might be a little Christmas present for you heathens.
Yeah, so the 27th, and then the 10th, and then the 24th. Yeah, December. It looks like December 8th. All right. So that means that there is a lot of time for people to write in votes and vote up or change your mind and unvote and revote for something else.
That sounds like so much voting fun.
And I guess we should also say that, and this should be obvious, but you can't vote or write in a film that we've already done.
Damn it.
Right? Because I know that everybody's going to just write eyeball. So
yeah, that's what I was going to do.
Right.
Strip nude for your eyeball.
Double bill.
So, and I don't think, guys, we should even hint or suggest.
Let's not suggest
at
anything.
all. Because, I mean, if you've been...
they have to be actual, like, bona fide Giallo films. Like,
yeah, I think so. I think that's
great. Don't like throw in like, I don't know, Serpent in the Rainbow and try to say its validity as a none of that shit this time around.
Yeah, I guess you're right. And there are some really big films that we have yet to cover, and I expect that somebody will vote for a few of those. But it could be anything. So it's, putting the power in your hands, ladies and gentlemen. Power to the people.
So, I'm going to go out on a limb and guess that there's no trailer for Profumo. I'm not 100% on that. I'll look, but chances are there isn't one. And so this is just going to be the end of the show now. So we will see you all on Facebook and all that fun jazz. Thank you for hanging out with us. Give us reviews if you want. Send us money if you want.
Oh, send us money? No, don't do that.
Any of those things.
Maybe we should give away something on the 50th episode.
Just give away your DVD collection. You don't need it
whole
anymore.
Collection. That's true. If you watch the first part of this, I don't need
digital,
anything.
baby.
That would be a huge thing.
Digital killed the video star.
There it is.
Polizio Tesco.
All right, everybody.
Give me one more pizza pie, Creep. Come on.
A pizza pie. Get out of my kitchen, man.
You're so racist.
Mamma mia, Papa Pia, baby got the diarrhea.
I thought I was the only one who ever said that when I was a kid. That's great. Papa Pia. Papa Pia is so racist.
Is it?
Yeah, there's no Papa Pia.
There is now.
Ciao, ciao, everybody.
Ciao, ciao, everybody. I can't see the button.